Hello, everyone. You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Alan Basoyahe coming to you from Los Angeles, California. It is Thursday evening here, February 18, 2021. Tonight, we have updates from several of our correspondents across North and Central America. Jane Kathleen Gregorio in Corpus Christi reports about South Texas residents reacting to the Arctic weather, power loss, and water issues, and a small magnitude earthquake striking South Texas. Eliza Gonzalez-Manlakmot in Washington, D.C.
President Joe Biden announces new actions to expand and improve COVID-19 testing, and D.C. announces new populations are now eligible for COVID vaccinations.
Carlo Valdez in Union Township reports about New Jersey vaccine megasites closing due to the winter storm. Nicole Adeline Padilla, Baton Rouge, reports about Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards issuing an emergency declaration for severe winter weather. Annabelle de Mesa in Glendale, California.
Los Angeles County to expand COVID-19 vaccination eligibility to essential workers.
Eagle News correspondent Ika Era reports about Sacramento County teachers to start receiving COVID vaccine. Anna Cui in Las Vegas reports about the Department of Justice and Nevada reaching an agreement to end discriminatory policies against inmates with HIV and those with disabilities. And Nevada COVID-19 vaccine eligibility expands to 65 and up. For business news, Bobby Soriano in New York reports about lawmakers questioning major players of the GameStop trading frenzy and Facebook banning news in Australia. And for tonight's roundtable, it's National Battery Day. Let's talk about everyday items that rely on batteries. Our coverage begins now. The World Health Organization's Africa chief speaks on patient zero for the separate, unlinked outbreaks of Ebola in Guinea and the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
There are so far 4 confirmed cases, including 2 deaths, and there are links. So the first case, in fact, was the wife of a survivor, somebody who had been involved or infected in the previous outbreak.
The UN said health workers in eastern DR Congo have begun an Ebola vaccination drive after 4 cases, 2 of them fatal, surfaced just 3 months after the country's last outbreak of the disease. On Sunday, the West African state of Guinea said it had confirmed 7 cases of Ebola, the first resurgence of the disease in the region since a 2013 to 2016 epidemic that killed more than 11,300 people. Meanwhile, millions of people were still without power on Wednesday in Texas, the oil and gas capital of the United States, and facing water shortages as an unusual winter storm pummeled the southeastern part of the country. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas says the Federal Emergency Management Agency is very active in addressing the storms that are wreaking havoc across Texas, leaving millions of people without power, some facing water shortages. Take a look.
First and foremost, of course, we want to express that our thoughts and prayers are with the people of Texas. The Federal Emergency Management Administration, FEMA, is very active in addressing the storms there. It has supplied 60 generators to hospitals, water facilities, and other operations. It has provided blankets, water, meals for the state to distribute. And of course, our President of the United States has approved an emergency declaration for the state. We trust and hope that people will take the utmost care of themselves, and if they have any questions with respect to what measures they should take, we would ask them and implore them to email ready.gov, look at the site there, and learn what steps can best protect them and their loved ones.
The National Weather Service, or NWS, issued a winter storm warning for a swath of the country ranging from East Texas to the East Coast state of Maryland. The NWS said the storm would bring ice, sleet, and heavy snow to parts of Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi as it tracks to the northeast, causing power outages, tree damage, and making driving hazardous. It said an Arctic air mass was beginning to lose its grip on an area of the country not used to such extreme cold, but the frigid temperatures were expected to continue. Hundreds of thousands of residents of the Texas metropolis of Houston are suffering from both power outages and a loss of water pressure. In a few moments, our Texas Bureau Chief Jane Kathleen Gregorio will join us and share some winter storm stories from South Texas residents. You want to stay tuned for that. Now for today's COVID-19 numbers. According to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University and Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Thursday, February 18, 2021, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now more than 110,146,000. Top three on the list of countries with recorded cases are the U.S. with 27.8 million, India with 10.9 million, and Brazil with 9.9 million. To date, more than 2,435,000 have succumbed to this virus. Top three countries with the most number of COVID-19 related deaths are the U.S. at more than 491,000, Brazil at more than 242,000, and Mexico at more than 177,000. For COVID news, official figures showed Thursday life expectancy in the United States fell by a whole year in the first half of 2020 as the COVID-19 pandemic started to grip the country. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, said life expectancy at birth for the total U.S. population was 77.8 years, declining by a year from 78.8 in 2019. Minorities were the hardest hit, with life expectancy decreasing 3 years for non-Hispanic blacks and nearly 2 years for the Hispanic population. The report said life expectancy at birth in the first half of last year was the lowest level since 2006, though it said the figures were provisional as the U.S. continues to count the cost of the pandemic. It said, however, the figures do not reflect the entirety of the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 or other changes in causes of death, such as the increases in provisional drug overdose deaths. Minorities have suffered high COVID fatalities, partly due to employees who cannot work from home, larger households, and poor access to healthcare, including testing. The country has so far registered 490,000 coronavirus deaths, by far the highest national death toll anywhere in the world. Maria Van Kerkhove, the World Health Organization's COVID-19 technical lead, warns that now is not the time to let your guard down, as the number of virus cases and deaths are going down in some countries.
Many times, now is not the time to let your guard down. We can continue to drive transmission down. Recall where you were a year ago, 8 months ago, 10 months ago, where transmission was going down in many countries around the world. We cannot let ourselves get in a situation where the virus can resurge again. Remember where we were, remember what we need to continue to do to drive it down, get cases down into single digits.
WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom says as more COVID-19 vaccines are ready to roll out, the world is moving toward the promise of vaccine equity.
At the beginning of the year, I issued a call to action to ensure that vaccination of health workers was underway in all countries within the first 100 days of the year. Tomorrow marks the halfway point, and we have made progress. But we are not there yet. With the emergency use listing of 2 versions of the AstraZeneca vaccine this week, COVAX is ready to roll out vaccines and is waiting for several manufacturers to make good on their commitments. The world is moving closer to delivering the promise of vaccine equity.
Meanwhile, in South Africa, while answering questions following his State of the Nation address, President Cyril Ramaphosa tells Parliament the country plans to create its own vaccine for COVID-19.
This great and hopeful nation, devastated by a deadly pandemic, lifted its head, straightened its back, and welcomed a new era in our fight against the pandemic. Less than 24 hours after the shipment landed of the virus, the first COVID-19 vaccine, the first COVID-19 vaccine was administered in our country. Our vaccination program, which is our best defense against this pandemic, has begun. Many said that we have neither the ability nor the will to protect lives, and yet here we are on the threshold of a new era in our fight against the pandemic. I've asked the Minister of Higher Education and Innovation to put together a team of scientists to begin the process of developing our own vaccines so that we can deal with this pandemic and future ones.
South Africa launched its long-awaited coronavirus vaccine campaign on February 17, while also becoming the first country worldwide to administer inoculations by U.S. pharmaceutical giant Johnson & Johnson. Ramaphosa was among the first to be vaccinated after the rollout was delayed earlier this month. In Zimbabwe, the country begins its vaccination campaign using the Sinopharm COVID-19 vaccine, with Vice President and Health Minister Constantino Chiwenga first in line to take the jab in a move meant to instill confidence in the vaccine following reservations over the drug donated by China.
I have received my COVID-19 vaccine jab together with my deputy minister and my staff. I urge all Zimbabweans to be vaccinated. My presence here today with some Ministry of Health officials, including my deputy, is to exhibit the government's confidence in the Sinopharm vaccine. My ministry conducted all scientific processes to ascertain the efficacy of Sinopharm vaccine, which was confirmed to be 79%.
Zimbabwe on Monday received its first batch of Sinopharm COVID-19 vaccine doses from China, as the country, already struggling with a deepening economic crisis and scant health resources, geared up to begin inoculations. Zimbabwe has already ordered another 600,000 doses from China, expected to be delivered in early March. In all, the country plans to procure a total of 1.8 million doses of the Sinopharm formula, which according to its developers is 79% effective. When we come back, updates from our Eagle News correspondents in Washington, D.C., Union Township, New Jersey, Corpus Christi, Texas, and Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This is Eagle News America. Stay with us.
Hey there, Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net 25.
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Alan Basoyahe in Los Angeles. President Joe Biden's administration continues to implement its plan for a national response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The White House announced a series of actions to expand COVID-19 testing, improve the availability of tests, and better prepare for the threat of COVID variants. In Washington, EBC's Eliza Gonzalez-Manlakmot is with us tonight with the details.
Thank you, Alan. Good Thursday evening to you and a good Friday morning to our friends on the other side of the globe. In expanding COVID-19 testing, the federal government is now focusing on testing for schools and underserved populations. As part of this, the Department of Defense, or DOD, and the Department of Health and Human Services, or HHS, will invest $650 million. This money is for testing for K-8 schools and underserved congregate settings such as homeless shelters. HHS will also set up coordinating centers. These centers will help identify existing testing capacity, match it up to an area of need, and fund that testing. When it comes to improving the availability of tests, HHS and DOD will invest $815 million. This is intended to increase domestic manufacturing of testing supplies and raw materials. Finally, the federal government will invest nearly $200 million in increasing virus genome sequencing. This will be used to identify, track, and mitigate emerging strains of SARS-CoV-2 through genome sequencing. This money equals a threefold increase in the CDC sequencing. This increase will improve the ability to detect emerging variants. These new steps will be implemented along with proven ways to protect the public against the virus, namely wearing masks, social distancing, and testing. The announced investments are part of what the Biden administration dubbed as the American Rescue Plan. The plan aims to use a nationwide approach to get the pandemic under control. The plan comes with a $50 billion price tag on it. In other Washington, D.C. news, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser and D.C. Health announced beginning today, February 18, here in the nation's capital, people who work in 4 categories will be eligible to book vaccination appointments. These 4 categories are people who work in grocery store setting, health and human services, manufacturing, and food packaging. People eligible may book appointments through vaccinate.dc.gov or by calling the district's coronavirus call center. Vaccination appointments will become available on an alternating weekly schedule. So for 1 week, appointments will be available at 6 p.m. Thursdays and Fridays. On the following week, appointments will be available Thursdays and Fridays at 9 p.m. At this time, the portal is only open to people 18 years old and above. Now for some weather update, it is 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital. In Washington, Eliza Gonzalez, Manglik Mott, Eagle News. Will live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Eliza, we remember not too long ago, all we could ask every correspondent was about COVID number cases, updates. It's so refreshing to now be able to ask this question. What are the vaccination updates there like?
That's correct, Alan. For some good news, as of February 13, the doses delivered here in the district is at 105,575. Doses administered are at 87,289. That's 82.6% of the doses delivered. And additional doses are expected for the week. They're at 14,275. We still have a long way to go, but it's moving forward and we're getting there. Alan?
That's excellent. Either little by little or by leaps and bounds, we'll certainly take whatever progress we can inherit from this new system of rolling out vaccinations. A little bit later, we're going to be talking about batteries, Eliza, and I can't wait to see if you have any gizmos and gadgets with you that you can demonstrate for us. But before we get to that, I do want to ask you, when it comes to your personal maintaining of battery levels, are you someone who doesn't have their batteries charged, is pretty good at having their batteries charged, or is guilty of overcharging? Which one are you?
I'm the third one, Alan. Unfortunately, always overcharging. It's a bad thing, but I'm guilty.
That's all right, because all that means is you'll be in a store for buying a new battery for whatever gadgets you have. Thank you, Eliza, for your great report. Governor Phil Murphy of New Jersey announces temporary closures of COVID-19 vaccine mega sites in the state due to the winter storm. In Union Township, we have Carlo Valdez.
Thanks, Alan. On Thursday, Governor Murphy made his way to the statewide Traffic Management Center in Woodbridge, New Jersey. Here, he discusses about the winter storm and also updates us on the vaccine megasites closures. Here's Governor Murphy at the press conference. Let's take a look.
We expect this storm to be an all-state affair. All counties are currently under either a winter storm warning or a winter weather advisory. The impacts into tomorrow, a little bit of a not dispute, but the range of when this peters out, midday to early evening tomorrow. The impacts will range from a wintry mix and rain largely in South Jersey to snow and a wintry mix across central Jersey to all snow as you move up through most of North Jersey. Snow totals are forecasted to be 1 to 4 inches in South Jersey with icy conditions, 4 to 8 inches across central Jersey with potential accumulations of ice, and similar snow totals, if not a little bit more, in North Jersey. The expected heavy rate of precipitation will make travel treacherous in many areas, and we encourage everyone to stay in and to not go out. I know Diane will underscore this point, but particularly at rush hour this morning, as we speak, and this evening. In advance of the storm last night, I declared all state offices will be closed today. Essential personnel, including those who are fighting the storm with us, and we thank each and every one of them, are to report for duty. Those who have been working remotely should do so again today. The vaccine megasites in Burlington, Middlesex, and Morris counties are each closed today. Those with appointments were contacted directly to reschedule. Appointments in Burlington County have been rescheduled for tomorrow, and those in Middlesex and Morris for this Saturday. The Bergen County megasite will be closing, I believe, Pat, at 10 a.m. this morning, and the folks there are in the process of contacting and rescheduling those who will be impacted. The sites, as we stand here in Atlantic and Gloucester counties, are currently scheduled to remain open.
And as for coronavirus stats and numbers, New Jersey reports of 2,746 new positive PCR tests, pushing the total to 675,713. Sadly, New Jersey is reporting 89 new COVID-19 deaths, pushing the total to 20,432 lives lost. In Union Township, New Jersey, Carlo Valdez, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Well, Carlo Valdez breaking out the winter wear and braving the cold. Thank you for that report. Up next, updates from Louisiana, Texas, Los Angeles, Sacramento, and Las Vegas. Eagle News will return in a moment. Stay with us.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Your weekly dose of entrepreneurial inspiration to update you on the latest developments in the world of business. Get up close and personal with CEOs and thought leaders to help you discover valuable insights. Sharpen your instincts for smart decision-making with the latest markets and economic trends, disruptive ideas, global innovation, social entrepreneurship, and other leading-edge business ideas. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business, from vision to action.
Look to NHK World Japan for news of the coronavirus outbreak across the globe. You'll find updates and insights in the specialized section of our website. Catch up with programs on your schedule through the free video on-demand service. Learn how to stay in shape and maintain your health deliciously. Ready when you are. NHK World Japan.
Performers sa Letters and Music ngayong darating na Sabado po yan. That's Feb 20, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Siyempre, dito lamang sa Net 25.
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Alan Balsoyahe in Los Angeles. In Sacramento, teachers are next in line to receive COVID-19 vaccinations. Eagle News correspondent Aika Era reports.
In Sacramento, California, community members are becoming excited for a new turn of events regarding COVID this week. What began on Tuesday of this week was a testament to Sacramento that everything is finally moving forward and in the best way possible. Teachers in Sacramento County are now able to get vaccinated starting this week. In the Elk Grove Unified School District, many educators are joyful about the plan. Having worked virtually with their students for almost a year, they are looking forward to going back to their physical classrooms and looking towards the opportunity of normalcy. While the pace of vaccination distribution continues to ramp up, positive cases of the coronavirus are beginning to fall. More and more sites throughout California are opening as vaccine sites, and in Sacramento, around 200 volunteers are helping to expand capacity so that teachers and staff can receive their vaccines this week. The school district is confident that in the next 4 weeks they will be able to vaccinate 7,000 of their employees with the first dose. While the school district and its employees look ahead towards brighter days, the biggest concern of California still remains. Will there be enough supply of vaccines for the state and local regions? A representative with the Sac City Teachers Association states that the county and the district has a process in place and remain confident that there will be enough for the employees in the coming weeks. After a harsh winter surge of positive cases that took thousands of lives in California, Sacramento is looking towards the future and the possibility of returning back to normalcy. As always, we continue to remind the community to remain optimistic while also engaging in health guidelines such as maintaining hygiene, practicing social distancing, and so on. Please take care of yourselves and each other. From Sacramento, California, Aika Era, Eagle News, and we live in interesting times.
An opportunity for normalcy would certainly be most welcome. Thank you, Aika, for that report. COVID-19 vaccination eligibility in Los Angeles has been expanded to essential workers. This includes teachers, grocery store workers, food and agricultural workers, law enforcement, emergency responders, and educators. And this begins March 1st. In Glendale, Annabelle De Mesa has the details.
Thank you, Alan. With rollout efforts nationwide to provide the coronavirus vaccine to everyone eligible, Los Angeles County is set to expand its COVID-19 vaccination eligibility to teachers, grocery store workers, food and agricultural workers, law enforcement, emergency responders, and educators effective March 1st. With a decline in cases, deaths, and hospitalizations in Los Angeles, gathered data shows how much vaccinations and social distancing efforts positively impact the LA region. According to the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health, there is a sharp decrease of 85% in the average daily number of cases for 7 days straight, based on statistics such as early last week. There is now a daily average of 2,230 positive cases. With how hard the Los Angeles area was hit with the recent surges and the many COVID-19 variants present, the effort to provide vaccinations to eligible Angelenos is top priority by the county health officials. Barbara Ferrer, the LA Public Health Department director, states, each individual and business doing their part to contribute to this decline continues to be the key to reducing transmissions in LA County. I understand waiting to be vaccinated requires enormous patience, as we are all desperate to see this pandemic end. I am confident that in the weeks to come, more vaccinations will be available, even if it is not as quickly as we'd like. Eventually, it will be everyone's turn to be vaccinated. We are all very much looking forward to the day when we can scale our vaccination efforts up to the maximum capacity. For those eligible to receive the COVID-19 vaccine, 5 large-scale vaccination sites are open across the LA County, which are the Pomona Fairplatz, the Forum, California State University Northridge, LA County Office of Education, and Six Flags Magic Mountain. Los Angeles also continues to experience a limited supply of the COVID-19 vaccine, with variable number of shipments received each week. 219,700 vaccine doses were delivered last week to the county, but most of the shipment was reserved and administered to those who are due for their second dose appointment. With 391 vaccination locations throughout Los Angeles, including the 5 large-scale vaccination sites, the county is able to schedule 500,000 appointments for just this week. However, vaccine doses are very scarce. The supply enough for less than half of this number at 211,000 appointments. In Glendale, California, Annabelle Damesa, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Annabelle, always encouraging news to hear that COVID-19 cases, deaths, hospitalizations in the county are on the decline. But how about the cases of the UK variant that was just found out about a month ago in Los Angeles? How many cases are there now of the COVID-19 B117?
As of today, Alan, it has unfortunately increased to a total of 12 cases in Los Angeles County from the infectious COVID-19 B117 variant originally found in the UK. Yesterday, the Los Angeles Public Health Department reported 4 additional cases of this variant. So public health officials are urging everyone to continue wearing face coverings and practice physical distancing every time we leave our homes. Alan?
Now, a little bit later, Annabelle, we're going to be talking about batteries for National Battery Day. California, what we're known for are fires and earthquakes, unfortunately. And emergency services always says, have spare batteries on hand, an ample supply. What about you in your emergency kit? Do you have batteries, spare batteries in case of emergency?
I have a portable charger, but I'm very bad at charging it. So what I do these days is just kind of plug in my phone to a charger as much as possible and hope for the best.
We join you in that, Annabelle. As a Californian, I also find myself needing to charge my batteries. Thank you for the report.
Thank you, Alan.
The Department of Justice and the state of Nevada have reached an agreement to end discriminatory policies against inmates with HIV and those with disabilities. Plus, Nevada seniors 65 and older are now eligible to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. Bureau Chief Anna Cui joins us this evening with the details.
Thank you, Alan. Yes, so the Justice Department Thursday last week reached a settlement agreement with Nevada to stop the illegal segregation of inmates with HIV, to protect them from being discriminated against based on their HIV status, and to provide inmates with disabilities equal access to benefits and programs made available by the Nevada Department of Corrections. According to the agreement, the investigation was actually initiated back in December 2014 after receiving complaints from inmates with disabilities who were then in the custody of the Nevada Department of Corrections. And then following a full investigation, the Department of Justice concluded in June 2016 that the NDOC had violated Title II of the American Disability Act by primarily segregating inmates with HIV. And this was because they had the policy that was called, quote, house alike, house alone policy. And this allowed the NDOC facilities not to house inmates with HIV in the same cells as inmates who do not have that same condition. So in a release statement, Pamela Carlin, who is with the Civil Rights Division, said, quote, "The routine segregation of inmates with HIV is unnecessary, stigmatizing, and harmful, and the Department of Justice will enforce the ADA to stop such discrimination." The Nevada Department of Corrections, following that, temporarily rescinded its segregation policy in 2017 before fully pulling it back in May 2018, according to the report. The investigation also revealed that when some of the inmates with HIV were being, integrated back with everybody else, it was found that their confidential medical information were compromised, which led them to further discrimination based on their disability. According to the settlement agreement, Nevada will make changes to its practices, policies, and procedures to ensure that inmates with HIV are not isolated based solely on their HIV status, and will keep their medical information fully confidential. In addition, the state also must ensure that qualified inmates with HIV and other disabilities, including those with, inmates with mobility disabilities and maybe other physical or mental health conditions, because those are also considered disabilities, that they are not excluded from employment opportunities, lower custody classifications, and housing placements. The NDOC, with their facilities, offer opportunities for inmates to gradually reintegrate back into the community through the different programs that they have, where they can earn actually additional credits to reduce the length of their sentences. So the agreement will also requires Nevada to train staff from Nevada Department of Corrections, and as well as inmates on HIV and disability discrimination. They'll provide education so that everybody will know about that. And in addition, they will also implement a grievance procedure based on American disability regulations. Now, a quick update on our COVID-19 vaccine rollout here, Alan. Governor Steve Sisolak, during a press call Wednesday, announced that the task force is expanding eligibility for the vaccine to those 65 years old and up, starting next week here in Nevada. This will be done through the Federal Pharmacy Partnership Program in all counties in the state. Now, the pharmacy partners will begin to schedule appointments for those 65 and older next week after shipments of the COVID vaccine are received. At this time, unfortunately, I don't have information about which pharmacy exactly, so we'll provide updates to that as they become available. But the goal of the task force is for this group to start receiving the vaccine by March 1st. Now, that may change, however, Alan, because as you know, and Carlo had reported just a little earlier, because of the severe weather across, what's happening across the U.S., that has delayed the regular allocation of, vaccines across the country, including here. Moderna specifically, their COVID vaccine doses were delayed to some of the vaccination sites like University Medical Center, Southern Nevada Health District, and the Las Vegas Convention Center. So they've been forced to postpone a number of Moderna second dose appointments scheduled for the remainder of this week. In Las Vegas, Anna Cui, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Anna, let's hope that the weather cooperates. And speaking of vaccines, as I recall, you received your first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. We're wondering, have you received your second dose already? And if so, can you tell us anything about it?
No. Actually, Alan, I was one of those who had an appointment scheduled for tomorrow together with my husband. But and all day, as we heard the news yesterday, Governor Sisolak tweeted it, that they are watching it, monitoring it with a delay. And we've been watching, the announcement, and we didn't get a call, nor did we get an email. So we were thinking up to maybe 2 hours ago, hey, maybe we're still good. But then when I checked the website at the Southern Nevada Health District, it did say there that, if you have an appointment for tomorrow and Saturday, they all have been canceled. So no second dose for me just yet. Alan?
Okay, well, we do want to hear that you will be getting your second dose. It's not going to be at the time that was appointed anymore, but hopefully close enough so that the efficacy remains there. Now, Anna, a little bit later, we're going to be talking about batteries, National Battery Day. And what we want to know is, are you the type of person who has sort of like a regular calendar when to refresh your batteries? We're talking about your AA's and AAA's and the D batteries, or are you the type of person who wants to squeeze every last little drop of juice from your battery for your TV remote?
Well, I would like to be better with making sure the batteries are charged, but I have to be honest, my husband is way better than than me, Alan.
All right, so we know who to go to if we need a fully charged battery. Thank you, Anna, for the report. When we come back, news from Louisiana, Texas, and business news. And tonight's roundtable about National Battery Day. Everyday items relying on batteries. This is Eagle News America. Stay with us.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced, not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Aguila Pilipinas. A 1-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Agila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Agila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to thank our health outdoor.
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Welcome back. You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Alan Basoyahe in Los Angeles. Governor John Bel Edwards of Louisiana requests a presidential emergency declaration for a severe winter storm impacting the state. In Baton Rouge, Nicole Adeline Padilla reports.
Thank you, Alan, and hello from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. On Monday morning, Louisiana was coated in ice and faced record low temperatures in the 20s, which dropped into the teens on Tuesday. In addition, on Wednesday, February 17, Governor John Bel Edwards wrote a letter to President Biden requesting a presidential emergency declaration as severe winter weather continues to impact the state, leaving 3 people dead and tens of thousands of people without electricity and water for several days, with more impacts likely over the next 24 hours. Governor Edwards said extreme winter weather, including record low temperatures, snow, sleet, and freezing rain, has been destructive for many areas of Louisiana, most notably through continued power and water outages across the state. This emergency declaration will help Louisiana better respond to this crisis and protect the health and safety of our people. The governor added, "I spoke with President Biden on Tuesday about the severe impact this historic weather is having on Louisiana, and I am confident that working with our federal and local partners, we can overcome these challenges, which are felt particularly hard in communities still recovering from hurricanes since last year." The governor also directed federal assistance, specifically commodities and supplies, in response to the extended power outage and also emergency protective measures under the FEMA Public Assistance Program. In addition, state offices will be closed in 29 parishes on Friday, February 19 due to hazardous conditions. Stay warm and bundle up, Louisiana. I hope you are staying safe there, Alan. In Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I am Nicole Padilla. Eagle News will live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Thanks, Nicole. We sure will stay warm here. Now, let's head over to the Lone Star State and listen to stories from South Texans about their winter storm experiences. Bureau Chief Jane Kathleen Gregorio has this story and more.
Thank you, Alan, and howdy from the Lone Star State. You know, Alan, food, water, shelter, electricity, these are essentials that people need to survive. But in Texas, the recent ice storms have created a disruption to the distribution of these basic necessities. And Texas is a pretty big state, so the loss of power and the road closures took a Texas-sized toll on the residents. Texas Governor Greg Abbott declared on Tuesday that he is calling on the legislature to investigate the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, also known as ERCOT, as an emergency item to declare reform and ensure Texans never again suffer power outages on the scale they have seen over the past several days. He stated, the Electric Reliability Council of Texas has been anything but reliable over the past 48 hours. Far too many Texans are without power and heat for their homes, as our state faces freezing temperatures and severe winter weather. This is unacceptable. Reviewing the preparations and decisions by ERCOT is an emergency item, so we can get a full picture of what caused this problem and find long-term solutions. I thank my partners in the House and Senate for acting quickly on this challenge, and I will work with them to enhance Texas' electric grid and ensure that our state never experiences power outages like this again. Let's take a look at some of the South Texas residents and how they faced the power outages, the water shortage, panic buying at the grocery store, and all these issues, and the different ways that they responded to it.
About the snowstorm started po last Sunday afternoon, and then the power went out po Monday morning in our place po around 2 o'clock in the morning. So it lasted po, the power was out for more than a day. It came back in our place last Tuesday night po. So we didn't expect po that will happen, so we are caught unprepared because of the power outage. We have no heater in the house, and the worst po is the water supply. Most of them, the pipes burst, even though most of us covered our water pipes, but still po, because of the freezing temperature, it burst, and the water pressure was too low. So for the past 2 days, we got an advisory from the governor that we have to boil our water, drinking water. So far we have some drinking water that we bought. Most of the stores were closed. Even small restaurants like McDonald's, they were closed po. So people who do not have gas supply in their house, that's very difficult because they cannot cook their food. At least for us po, we have gas stove, so we were able to cook our food. And most of us, our fireplace, we haven't used that po for 12 to 15 years, because we never had this kind of weather po in Texas. And I just heard po this morning in the news the reason why there's a longer power outage was the infrastructure of Texas, the power lines.
And one of the residents that we spoke to in Corpus Christi, Lisa Manahan, also had to deal with issues of panic buying, which led to empty shelves, especially when it came to water and other resources. Let's take a look.
Town of Portland, Texas, just outside Corpus Christi, about 15 minutes. The current situation here is about 38 degrees right now, and as for the weather, in our town, the electricity is shut off. in some areas and some are not, or back and forth, and the water shut off. Right now, as far as for my family, we are currently staying in our master bedroom and using candles for warmth. Just currently went to the store, and the line for the grocery store for gas is very, very long. Major necessities like milk, bread, water, or even other foods are empty. Right now we came from the community center and they were giving packs of water, so we were able to get there and get some of that. Just came back from the store at Walmart and paid $56 for candles so that we could stay warm at night due to not having electricity, and the weather, the temperature is going down drastically when nightfall comes. Other than that, I guess everybody here in Portland are staying as warm as they can, as far as they can do.
Texas Division of Emergency Management, TDEM, Chief Nim Kidd, also stated that many Texas agencies are working together to support local officials, first responders, and communities impacted by the winter storm. Meanwhile, we go to other news where an earthquake has struck southern Maverick County on Tuesday, 7:17 p.m. in the town of El Indio, just 21 miles south of the city of Eagle Pass, Texas. Fortunately, it was a mild one with a 3.0 magnitude, according to the United States Geological Survey. El Indio residents were reported to have felt their homes shake from the tremors. The last earthquake experienced by Maverick County was in 2005 and in 1931, and the area is considered a low earthquake risk area. Meanwhile, I hope you are staying safe, warm, and healthy in your part of the country. In Corpus Christi, Texas, I'm Jane Kathleen Gregorio, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
Several stories from our business desk in New York. Lawmakers are questioning major players of the GameStop trading frenzy. And Facebook is banning news in Australia. Bobby Soriano files this report.
Good evening. U.S. markets have closed. Here are your latest business headlines. All eyes were on Capitol Hill today as lawmakers questioned the key players that were involved in the recent volatility that drove GameStop shares to astronomical levels. Among those that were asked to testify included Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev, Reddit CEO Steve Huffman, Melvin Capital Hedge Fund founder Gabe Plotkin, and Citadel Hedge Fund founder Ken Griffin. Keith Gill, who goes by the online alias Roaring Kitty and is considered as one of the primary instigators on the Reddit forum Wall Street Bets, was also asked to attend the hearing. In a statement last month, Democratic Representative Maxine Waters of California, who is the chair of the House Financial Services Committee, said that the purpose of the hearing would be to, quote, examine the market in general and how it has been manipulated by hedge funds and their financial partners to benefit themselves while others pay the price. It's important to note that no one involved in the hearing today has been accused of any criminal wrongdoing. But lawmakers are hoping that the answers provided to them today would give them insight into whether or not additional regulation of the markets is needed. In an unprecedented move yesterday, Facebook has banned all Australian users and publishers from viewing or sharing news articles on its platform. The decision by the tech giant was made in response to the Australian government's plan to introduce legislation that would require social media companies to pay news organizations for their content. In response, Australian Treasurer Josh Frydenberg said that the company had not provided users any notice of the ban before it went into effect, and that, quote, Facebook was wrong. Facebook's actions were unnecessary, they were heavy-handed, and they will damage its reputation here in Australia. Other countries are carefully watching the proceedings going on in Australia, particularly here in the U.S., where antitrust lawsuits have been filed against Facebook alleging unfair business practices that prevent other online providers from competing against the social media giant. For the week ending February 13, U.S. initial jobless claims once again picked up to a seasonally adjusted 861,000, which is higher than the prior week's adjusted 848,000. Looking at the indices, stocks moved lower in light of the higher jobless claims announced today and losses by some of the big-name tech stocks. Reporting from New York, Bobby Soriano, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thanks, Bobby, for those updates. Now, we want to continue to thank our healthcare workers, first responders, and essential workers with a round of applause. We appreciate you. And that is today's Eagle News America. Thank you for joining us. I'm Alan Basoyahe. We live in interesting times.